remember they're changing my voice and they're also changing my picture. That's part of why I put the word sabotage there when I put her part of the speech. In this video, I will prove definitively that they are pretending to be ideal while torturing people, and they're getting some kind of kick out of it. And there is no logical reason for them to do it. It's bad for them, it's bad for their families. By their own associations, they've overkilled. The people see through it, and they don't seem to care. Their mentality perhaps is best summed up by that picture. It's this kind of effeminate and feminine mentality, kind of fake feminine, that doesn't care, right? Rock and roll, they don't care. So we look over here, okay? This picture used to be much more handsome, much more kind of divine, but it's very similar nonetheless to how it used to be. They just added some kind of slightly childish look instead of a divine look. They took away from it and made it like a childish look. There was a look of sorrow, and they don't quite capture it. They also made it so the eyes look all black or something, which is not how the picture was. I didn't look like some soulless child or something, but okay. Right here I put for her to say this. She didn't actually say this. Okay, it says, "Oh my God, the true King of Kings is an African martial arts hero that people give a hard time and sabotage in order to keep me from falling in love with him," right? So if she had any sense, she'd say, "Oh my gosh, that's the true King of Kings," right? It's kind of something you know anyway. You're saying Martin Luther King, you say, Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, they seem to go beyond other groups of people. But, so if God was one of us, he'd be a black guy. But who would he be, right? He'd be a martial arts, but it wouldn't be like a cheesy Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman. It wouldn't be John Jones. It wouldn't be Michael J. White, right? It would be a certain type of kind of divine, more focused, right? More lean, more defined muscles. And they've gone the distance to confuse that. Now, some of you might have your doubts. Okay, first of all, it says they edit my pics to make it so I look like gay liberal nerds. Also, I am not gay or conservative or liberal. Really, I'm I side with the truth. So here we have Serapis, right? Serapis is made after Apep, which must be who this Egyptian depiction is. This is supposedly an actual depiction of the Egyptian god Apep, and look at his face carefully, right? It's like a Jewish-ish face, or some kind of African or Semite that looks like that with the nose and the shape. Okay. Again, I don't care how you look. These are just the facts. Okay. No offense to anybody. All right. Shout out to the Jews and so on and so forth. Okay. So here we have Serapis, right? See the snake? See that thing on his head? Okay. It's some kind of basket for, carrying, crops and supplies. It's something to that effect. Here we have another Serapis. See how this one looks far more like their common fake image of Christ? Okay. That's not a coincidence. Reminds me of this Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan gives his life in Star Wars, right? It's a fake image of Christ and a fake image of Abraham and so on and so forth, okay? But anyway, going back to this, okay, that is Serapis, whose name is Rapes Scrambled, okay? Serapis becomes is rapes or rapes is. Okay, that's not a coincidence because it's rape by deception. The snake is a phallic symbol. The snake from the garden, the tree of knowledge, the forbidden fruit can also be put in the basket. Okay, and the forbidden fruit, the closest thing to the simple explanation of it is its wickedness, right? The fruit of deception, right? The fruit of wickedness, the bread of wickedness, the bread of idleness, right? This refusal to obey God through me. Now here we see a grand dragon who is like a bodybuilder or something. He's wearing green. He's wearing green, and he's called a grand dragon. Is he wearing green because it's not connected, or is he wearing green because it is connected? So he's trying to snake the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order and pretend it's a white order, and Nathan Bedford Forrest was of English descent. I mean, look at this guy. He has a somewhat English look to him. It's an amalgamation of whites and Jews and LGBT types, okay, just like the old cults of old where they used to breed with Persians and Ethiopians in Greece and Rome. Okay, we have in stories of mythology like Andromeda, the daughter of the Ethiopian king, I believe it was. It's been a while. Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff here. I mean, I'll go ahead and put it from here, and you can pause it, take a screenshot or whatever. But I want to kind of go through the other images here. Now, here, you see that they made my skin pinkish purple. I don't know how it shows up. And there's like a green thing here that they caused to occur one way or another. Okay? Again, I don't know how well it shows up. If you look at the facial structure, you see how it's slightly different. This is like a more elongated face. This is like a more kind of, I don't want to say round, but it's whatever this shape is, right? It's like a diamond or somewhere. This is more like a long, elongated shape, like her head, like you see, it's elongated. Okay, hers, you see what I'm saying. Okay, now I said I serve God and she serves the devil. Yes, she would reject me and she sees herself as above me. You say, well, does she serve the devil? Well, she works for the news, which is part of the arm of the corporate state, right? And the news lies. The news lies for control, including sexual control. We'll get to that momentarily with the devil's game. What is the devil's game? Why is this book called Sleeping with the Devil? Let's see here. There's a horny devil. That's called the devil's game, and it's a popular culture thing. And here we have a popular culture thing. It says sleeping with the devil. Here's the devil in the suit, and here's the man who would be God. So they're pretending to be ideal. And idol, this pretending to be ideal. And there's all kinds of people who look like they're in cults, right? See these kids? They look like pretty intelligent kids, but they look like a screws loose or something. No offense to them. Shout out to them, whatever. They look like this cult, this movie, a movie or book, I believe it's a movie, where it's called Cult. Look at their eyes. Look at their face. Look at their way about them. That is deliberate. That's the picture they chose to use. This is the conditioning of the corporate state. Okay? If you care about your country, you're not going to play stupid when kids look like they're in a freaking cult. Right? Even in popular culture, Epstein and Keith Rainier and Allison Mack and Weinstein, Hollywood taking advantage of them. You think someone who cares about their fellow man in their country is going to stay silent? Now, look at this over here. You see this female right here? See this female right here? Very attractive, very nice. I'd love to go on a date with them. I'm sure they're both married. No offense to their husbands or whatever. Okay? Now, here we go down here. And it says, hi. See, notice it has, I did not make this picture. I printed it out. It says there's an eye, for what, how does she see things, right? The eye of Lucifer includes eyes that look like they're thrown off. That's part of how in some pictures they edit my pictures and a lot of my videos. Lots and lots of my videos, I look like a weirdo or something where my eyes are thrown off. I do not look anywhere near that weird or autistic or Down syndrome or cross-eyed or anything like that. But in lots of videos out there, that's how they depicted me. Okay. Now, we compare those eyes, for example, to this eye, my right eye, right? It's very focused, but they made it so it looked like I'm disassociated. When the original picture, I look very sharp and in touch with the screen and reality. Okay. We look at her eyes, right? Okay, so what is the eye of Horus? Like a falcon eye with it's sharp versus dull. In the Bible, Jesus said, "Are you so dull?" to his disciples when he's chastised them. And he says, and the Bible says in Hebrews, it's a sharp, double-edged sword of Scripture, sharper than any double-edged sword. A sharp, two-edged sword coming out of his mouth in Revelation. Okay? He's going to be the top martial arts, not some guy in a trance-like state, not some corporate devil, not some rock and roll people, not some Satanists, not some emos, goths, or whoever these people are. Again, this chick is like some kind of cult, and she's putting out the rock and roll kind of kiss face, and these people are too. And this chick has the rock and roll sign, and she's a dumbass. So people who are evil, no offense to anybody in any of these pictures, they're seen as dumb because they are dumb, and they have a stupid conception of love. See how it's blowing a kiss. Satanic, fake love, out of touch with reality, dull. This is the recipe that doesn't allow for true consent. She's better off being a very sharp woman who's drank 4 shots of whiskey or some hard liquor than being her sober. That is the problem there in a nutshell, so to speak. That part of the problem is very important to understand. All right. I know I'm getting kind of worked up here, but you can imagine it pissing me off. My throat is burning from being fumes. Let's finish this off here. Okay. So here we have Francis Galton, the guy who coined the term eugenics in like 1883 or something. The Civil War ends in the 60s. Within 2 decades, this guy coins the term eugenics. And it's about controlling the agencies under social control that improve or impair racial qualities. And if you read between the lines, it's pretty straightforward for white supremacy. In other words, they want to impair my gene to try to control who I reproduce with. So in the future, people related to him can seem superior. Now look at the look in his face. He looks like an idiot. Look at this guy. This guy was not made, from what I gather, to mock this guy. This guy's just an idiot acting like an idiot. So is this... I believe that's the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland, one depiction of him. Notice they all look like idiots. So why would an idiot determine the core culture of the corporate state, which is eugenics, right? The direction, the phallic symbols, the obelisks, the penis symbols in stone, if you will, the phallic symbols, the obelisks from Egypt, in Washington, D.C., and in France. Why would a weird weirdo, a weird English oppressor, when again, Nathan Bedford Forrest, the guy who started the Ku Klux Klan, not this guy, but who started his group, was of English descent, and this guy's of English descent. And the royal family, the only royal family you see in the news these days is the English royal family, right? Wales or wherever they're from, okay? This guy believed in Nordicism just like the Klan. He believed in the supremacy of the Northern European, okay? And we look at the Rothschild, for example. It gets interesting where it's like the merger of the people who otherwise would be Nazis if Hitler took over, merging with the Jews and the LGBT community to pretend that they're God. They say, I'm quite ideal. The devil in the suit. They say, make him look bad. Edit his pictures so we look better than him. Because what's the devil's game? He's a horny devil. He's a deceiver, raped by deception to get you to sleep with the devil. Get more bang for your buck. Why do people get money? Why do they buy nice jewelry and nice cars? To impress who? To impress females. So the devil's game, first and foremost, is a horny devil. Get you to sleep with the devil in some kind of trance-like state, out of touch with reality. Get you to be a materialistic fucking fool, because whoever finds their life will lose it. And who finds their life more than the more conformist sex who makes most of the purchases in this country. They did some study where it said women control like 83% of the purchases in this country. And she found her life. She fell in the devil's trap, playing the devil's game. And if you care for her, whether you're this guy whose pictures they're editing, or her family who's supposed to care for her, you don't want her to do that. You don't want her to pretend this guy's God's son. You don't want her to pretend these guys, these devils, these ancient serpents are God's son. You don't want her to date the devil in the suit. You don't want her to sleep with the devil. You don't want her to join a cult. My goodness. Those of you think I'm too worked up, how am I supposed to feel about it? And they act like some kind of wise-ass mocker in their sororities. You know, it wasn't until 2013 or so, according to this one article, that they started letting black women into their sororities. They kept an unofficial rule of not having black women in their sororities. We'll get to that in another video. Okay, here's these guys smirking like some kind of serpent in some fraternity. Hear them turn out the kids. Here's these Freemasons smiling. What's so funny? Francis Galton was a Freemason too. What's so funny? Okay, that you're with Lex Luthor and then smirking and you're jeering? What about your kids, buddy? Where's your kids right now? What are they doing? Where are they headed? Who are they looking up to? These Ku Klux Klan fairies in your church depictions? Your fairy theater propaganda corporate marketing game instead of reality? Your illusions, ill-gotten gains, illusions. Why don't you people see? Yes, she should choose me. So should she. I should have one wife, and everyone should look up to me, because when they don't, they're looking up to people who failed to man up, people willing to cheat the most righteous guy ever at the most important time in history. They're looking up to devils in a suit. They're looking up to Lex fucking Luthors. They're looking up to Francis Galtons. Eugenics, scientific racism, social Darwinism, biology and demographics, biodemography for corporate white Jew and LGBT supremacy. And I'm not racist. I'm part white. Now look at this. You know, my mom is white. So look at this. Cheerleader. Is she the pinnacle of sharpness and consent? Is she the model for consent? Yes, we want chicks to consent and to be well aware of what they're doing. And so we chose her to show you what good consent looks like. No. She couldn't consent if she spent her life concentrating, and with a bunch of college professors helping her out. She needs the true spirit of God to purge the ancient serpent in their soul, mind, and brain, and to fall in line with God's order, which is more important than any national security prerogative. Thank you.